Talk to him.
Here at the Dragon's Lair Gym, I am Miguel Guajardo, owner and creator of the Torture Room Massage Therapy, located right inside the Dragon's Lair Gym. Let me show you where it's at. Here in the Torture Room Pure Recovery Treatment Center inside the Dragon's Lair Gym, where we do muscle scraping, cupping, therapeutic massage, a little bit of relaxation, trigger point therapy. We use some of these nice torture devices here just to get the athletes right. But it doesn't always have to be that scary. We can also do cupping. Very nice, very relaxing. And we even have a Theragun here just to get those nasty knots out of the muscle tissue there. And this is where the magic happens, where we work on some of the biggest pros. And we also work on athletes that are moving up the ranks, moving up the ladder, where you can just perform your best with the best body you can.
Let's talk about Bodywork. So many of you know that you might see Bodywork promoted on social media by influencers, by athletes. You know, you may know that it's a form of sports massage or deep tissue, but a lot of people don't really understand what Bodywork encompasses. And that is part of what we want to share with you guys today. So we've got Miguel here from the Torture Room. We got Coach Sam here. Me and Coach Sam are getting Bodywork, and we want to answer some questions for you guys. How often should you get Bodywork? When is it the most important time to get Bodywork? Who should get Bodywork? What even does that mean? Is that different than a massage or a sports massage? What are we talking about? So we're going to get into all that with you guys.
All right, and for anyone that works with us, you know that we are huge on recovery. Myself, Courtney, I know that we harp on it in a lot of our check-ins, and there is no one better to talk to about it than Miguel. Kind of a genius in his business.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And for anybody who doesn't know what the Torture Room is, it's located inside the Dragon's Lair Gym in Las Vegas. And here at the Torture Room, it's Pure Recovery Treatment Center here. So main focus is massage therapy, available for all types of people.
So let's start by getting into what is Bodywork? How is it different than a normal massage or deep tissue massage that you would get from anybody else?
So with Bodywork and massage, even though they sound the same, massage you can pretty much get anywhere. It's one of those spa treatment massages. They just say we're therapeutic massage. When you get direct tissue work, now we have to get very focused on why we're working on muscle tissue. What's the true cause? Is it a pain symptom? Is it to enhance performance? Is it to bring mental clarity? Now we have to get very specific to the person instead of just a general modality of like, we just do deep tissue, we're going to use essential oils. Not that they don't work, but there's a time and place when you're going to just do a massage or when you're going to get true body work done, and people are very, very specific on what they want done.
Mm-hmm. I know Sam she likes muscle scraping and psoas.
I do whatever he tells me I need.
Yeah, Sam definitely, she's got a much higher pain tolerance than me. Nobody's touching my psoas, that's for sure. Can you tell us a little bit about, like, you know, when it comes to cupping and Graston therapy and your torture devices that you use?
Oh,
like,
yes.
when do you bust those out? Like, how do you know if somebody needs that?
That's very, very, because it's always on the fly when you know. Because it's easy to say, yeah, we can do muscle scraping, but what's the purpose and why? So when we get to muscle scraping and cupping, two great modalities, but they both do two different things. Cupping is extremely superficial. It will bring pliability to fascia. It's going to bring blood flow to the muscle. It's going to bring a little bit more mobility to the joints, but it's extremely superficial. But if something is wrong with the muscle, it's not responding right, it's too knotted up, there's too much adhesions, cupping's not going to do anything to the muscle. So you can bring blood flow to the muscle, but the muscle's still not healthy to actually perform. Whether it's in the gym or you just want to be active, like go out for a hike. So is the muscle tissue still going to be healthy just to do what you want to do from day to day? With muscle scraping, we can tackle both the fascia and the muscle tissue. Not only does it enhance blood flow, but it also detoxifies the tissue and breaks up any adhesions you have deep in the muscle fiber.
Mm.
So, yeah, it's a very unique thing.
Definitely. And so, kind of to caveat off of that, because there's so much debate on like when is the best time to get tissue work? Is it pre-workout? Is it post-workout? Is it rest day? And what are your thoughts on that?
That is the biggest one that everybody's going to argue with. When is the best time? If you're an athlete, it all depends on where you're at. If you're an athlete, I'm always going to say on your rest day. That's going to trump all of them. But now you're going to have some people say get tissue work before a training day.
Mm-hmm.
Get tissue work after. So it all depends. That's going to rely on the LMT. So you can actually get a massage before you train. I would give it at least 1 hour before you train.
What is LMT?
LMT is a licensed massage therapist.
Okay,
Yeah.
got you. I need to ask those questions. I don't know.
No,
the
it's
actual-
okay. It's always good to be curious. It's always good to be curious. Because if you don't know, you're like, I don't know what that really
Okay.
meant.
Okay.
Yeah, so the massage therapist has to understand now your sport. Because some people do like anaerobic exercises or aerobic exercises. So some people are on the gym or some people want to go run a 10K.
Mm-hmm.
You can still get a massage before, but it has to be a very specific massage for the sport because now my goal is to make you perform better. When you get tissue work after, post, now we're looking at pushing out lymphatic system that is just stagnant in the muscle tissue. You get that soreness. So you don't get that DOMS effect that's going to last for days. We want to push that lymph out. So it can be a little bit deeper pressure, maybe some cupping. I wouldn't recommend scraping right after a training session because you already traumatized the muscle in the gym with stress overload. But on a rest day, especially more so if you can get a cheat meal on a rest day, that would be great. But you're not taxing the muscle tissue anything more than just your daily to-do tasks.
Okay, so that means that when you're doing body work, scraping, we're getting it done on a rest day, because when we're training, we're creating inflammation for the muscle, and so body work can also create an inflammatory response, right? Even though the goal is to decrease it, right? But immediately after the fact, because we're stressing the muscle.
Correct. That's half truths.
Okay.
So an inflammatory response could be a healing response too.
Yes.
But knowing that you just trained and you created so many micro tears in the muscle tissue, you have this small window where you need to replenish nutrients. The muscle needs to feed. It needs to eat. So if you go straight from the gym floor, straight to a massage room, I have to understand how stressed out the muscle is. That's why I say I'm not gonna scrape you or we're not gonna do any scraping sessions like right after you train. But, depending on the athlete, it's like not everybody's a bodybuilder.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are powerlifters, so they do more compound movements. Some people are just your everyday active people. They don't really care. They're like, I just gotta fit it in my day. I gotta get the training in, and I like to get a massage every other week, so it just happens to fall at this time because they have a life outside the gym.
Mm-hmm.
So they just try to fit it in. So my main goal is, let's just push lymph on something like that. Somebody who's at the pro league, it's like we got to be very, very specific. And you wouldn't be the one that says, I just trained, I just killed my legs, I did glute hamstrings. All right, Miguel, let's just torture me.
Yeah.
You're going to be a little bit smarter.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the average person won't be. So we have to be careful that we don't cross the line of the inflammatory process to a traumatic process.
Right.
We want the tissue to respond very, very well to the recovery treatment center.
So we talk about it kind of in more for in season. I think that we touch on that and the importance in season. Can you maybe explain, because there's importance for both in season, off season, and what are the like benefits to doing it year round for athletes?
For bodybuilding?
Yeah, for
So for bodybuilding specific, oh man, I believe those deep tissue sessions, those scraping sessions, those ones that look brutal on Instagram that you're like they're just screaming on the table, get those done in your grow season.
Yeah.
And the two reasons why is you're more likely going to do it on a rest day, and the biggest reason is you're going to be at a surplus of calories. The tissue needs calories to heal, whether it's on the gym or it's going to be a massage. It needs the nutrients, the water, everything, especially the carbs. So if you're just so deficient in calories when you're like, I'm getting no carbs, I'm like only eating 1,800 calories, like to come in here and get a deep tissue massage, your body's now going to go into super stress mode. Cortisol levels rise. You're going to want to know if you did the right thing. You're probably going to wake up the next day holding a lot of water. And if it's on a day you have to check in with your coach, now you're very stressed out.
Right.
So,
Okay.
but the main goal during growth season is to keep the muscle tissue pliable. Can we keep the muscle tissue pliable so when you guys perform out on the gym, you guys can push the muscle more? It can handle more stress overload. Now you're able to PR and actually grow the muscle how it needs to. And then when we get to prep mode, now we can get to just keeping the fascia pliable. When you keep the fascia pliable, your main goal, I'm going to put this in one lump sum, correct me if I'm wrong, is you're trying to push as much blood in the muscle. So if we can keep the fascia pliable, that muscle tissue can now hold the pump a lot longer. You can push more in there, and that's where you get all the nutrients dumped into the muscle tissue, into the protein cells. So I have to learn everything, or as much as I can, about the sport,
Yeah.
and also about nutrition, and also about how you guys perform, and what type of training you guys perform. Because the training styles are going to be different. You're going to train completely different on grow than in prep.
Yeah.
So, because the goals are different. So the goals have to be different in the massage room.
So what are some of the other benefits of body work? So kind of touching on that, like you said, it keeps the fascia pliable, helps you get a better pump. We're talking about range of motion, but how does somebody know if they need body work, and what are the other benefits they can walk away with by getting regular body work?
And how regularly?
I mean, the greatest, I think, just basic benefits is just the value of touch. Like, as human beings, like, just the value of touch. Somebody actually cares about your well-being, your mental clarity. You know, you actually get a form to just relax, especially in this day and age, this era. Everybody's busy. Everybody says, I have no time. I can't do that. I can't even stretch. I don't have the time to do that. I don't even know if I can do a 5-minute yoga session. But the minute they decide, I'm going to just schedule a massage, a lot of times those people say, I just want to relax. So just the value of human touch just gets people to relax. They get to vent out. They get to just let loose and just say whatever's just, whether it's about work, the home, the to-do list. From here, I got to go do this. Got to pick up kids from school. So people need an outlet. So they hold on to everything so much, and you know, just to provide a safe space for that, and just say, yeah, let it out. I'm not gonna judge you. Hey, we all got issues. I have the same issues. I think I have no time also. But when people start to realize that they're not the only ones that are going through life, and life is heavy, you know, it lets them relax a little bit and say, you know what, let's go in with this, and we just have a great conversation.
Okay. I know we've talked a little bit before about actually, you've talked a lot about your body's ability to use nutrients in the food being improved with body work.
Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit about that, and the injury prevention because of the improved range of motion or mobility that you can then carry into the gym from body work specifically, and how you work on that?
Well, a lot of it's going to have to do with blood flow. So, and I can pretty much tell when somebody comes in, especially somebody who's into bodybuilding or wants to train or live like a bodybuilder, have that lifestyle. I can usually tell within seconds What's going on with the muscle tissue, just with blood flow. The tissue feels too tight. The muscle doesn't respond well with just basic touch. Everything's hyperactive, hypersensitive. So we know they're just taxing the muscle tissue too much. And when muscle tissue is at a high stress state, and you're like, I'm just eating protein, I'm just eating carbs, because it says it on the numbers, and coaches hear this all the time, or you tell your athletes, your body just quit responding. Your body's not, it doesn't matter how well we manipulate the meal plan, what vitamins or PEDs we implement, or you find out that you get some blood markers done and you find out everything just kind of went, you know, out of whack. And it's all like, why? And it's like, why? And a lot of times people, again, hold on to too much stress, and we can read that in the muscle tissue. So,
Yeah, because you mentioned before, like pushing that lymph, right? And so like moving that out. So that's part of how you increase blood and nutrient flow to the muscle, right?
yeah.
I could be crazy. I'm just happy.
Yeah.
I feel like I've heard you say these things before.
Yeah, in a way. So lymph is gonna just push away all that lactic acid,
Okay.
everything that we're kind of holding on to, the water retention, that kind of cleans everything out. So if you think of lymph in just general terms of like it's gonna just clean out the body. It's just gonna clean it all out. The red blood cells, that's what carries everything to the muscle tissue. So, and you need a good oxygen flow as well. Oxygen binds to red blood cells. So if the muscle tissue is too stressed, guess what? It's going to start to limit oxygen consumption levels in the muscle tissue. That's going to have an adverse response to what they want it to do, or what you guys want your clients to do when you're like, hey, make sure you hit your macros, make sure you get protein, make sure you eat these kind of carbs after a workout. There's going to be a point sometimes where the muscle tissue just says, I'm not playing this anymore. I'm done. I'm not going to do it. And then that's when people will start to say, oh, my neck hurts. Oh, I think I slept wrong. Or, this hip just kind of just doesn't feel right. Nothing's in pain, but something just doesn't feel right. And then all of a sudden you have tensions, and then aches, and then it grows to pains, and then it amplifies more to range of motion issues. And now it's like it went from just a neurological reading to a fascia reading to a muscle tissue reading to now it's a psychological reading. Now they think, I'm broken, I don't know what to do. Who should I go see? What should I do? Should I see a chiropractor? Should I see a doctor? Should I just increase whatever? And it's like you can mask everything with so much, but with athletes, it's like not only is body work also a good advantage to have, but also training properly. Some people just want to go heavy all the time. And the greatest thing you can do as an athlete, I've seen your workout videos, they scare me.
Yeah.
If this scares you, your training
The
videos scare me.
Yeah.
But implementing mobility training,
Yeah.
even if it's once a week, will keep you injury-free, stress-free, keep the muscles moving a whole lot better. But it's also a lot of the stuff that's not that fun. It's fun squatting 7 plates,
Yeah,
but
the recovery stuff is not as sexy as the heavyweights, I suppose.
exactly. So, but yeah, so that's how body work just complements the training, and how well it keeps the body working the best it can. So everything you feed it just takes in, better. So, but yeah.
Well, I think in the couple years that we've known you now, and I get to chat with you a lot, which I always really appreciate, like your information and your side of things too, because you explained that we kind of work on different spectrums in the body, right?
Oh yeah.
And it's very hard to know everything and be all encompassing, so I always appreciate the information that you share. And your method is much different than any of the other LMTs that I've had work on me before. And I appreciate the education standpoint that you provide in kind of explaining when you're working on someone, like this is what we're doing, why we're doing it. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about the torture room method and what makes you stand out so much more, or how it is like that tissue work is kind of superior to going to like a massage MP.
Okay, well, the torture room method, See, when I do my tissue work, I just believe that everybody does it. That's what I think. Every massage therapist knows it. But what I decided to enhance to be different was I wanted to understand, and this is across the board in healthcare, the three pillars of stress that every human being goes through, and it's psychological stress, biomechanical stress, and social. Those three, every person, every human being will go through that. How you talk to yourself, what you believe, what you've been taught, and what you think is true, is just gonna resonate in your daily life. And I'm sure you guys hear all the time, oh, I think I've said it to you. Why do I have to eat an apple when I can eat a donut? It has the same carbs. You know, I just believe that a carb is a carb. But then somebody has to teach you. But you'll always believe that. But if I eat a donut every day, I'm like, why do I feel sluggish? You know, it starts to create your reality. And then there's how you live your life. What do you do? Are you overactive? Are you underactive? Are you very sedentary? Or, you know, what's your daily life like? Are you working all day, 14 hours, and then trying to hit a gym session? You know, when does your body get to recover? And then it's social. What's your network like? You know, what do you like with your family? Do you have friends? You know, how, you know, all that kind of stuff. Everybody goes through these stress levels, and we can kind of read this inside muscle tissue and in pain symptoms. You know, people will just believe they have something going on, which is not always as bad as what they think. So that's what I try to tackle, and that's what I think really sets me apart, and also how I deliver the information.
Yeah.
And it's one thing I learned being in a seminar one day. A great CEO was given a seminar on how to sell. He sold insurance, and he was like, what sets you apart? Everybody says like, oh man, what's gonna set me apart? What is it that I do? You know, custom meal plans, custom training sessions, this and that. He's like, everybody will tell you how to sell by telling you what they do. He goes, there's 3 selling points that every person needs to know if they're selling a service or a product, and it's why you do it, how you do it, and what you do. And if you'll hear, at least I see it on social media platforms, and I'm just gonna speak on massage therapists. You'll click on somebody, they say massage therapist, and you just read the bio. Deep tissue, therapeutic, sports, and then you see a bunch of fancy letters. And then that's it. And then you see another one, and they say the same thing. Everybody tells them what they do. I'm like, we all do that. But he was like, if you can tell people why you do this, and then how you do it, and then at the end tell them what you did, people will love you so much more. And that's why I always explain what I'm gonna do. And I never talk first. When a client's in my room, I get to hear the story. I get to hear it all. It's an open book, and I'm like, okay, I have to ask the right questions, but now I tell them why I'm gonna do this treatment. Okay, I wanna improve your mobility because I want you to train. I did not start the conversation with, all right, we're just gonna do muscle scraping. I didn't tell them what I was gonna do. I told them why I'm gonna be working on them to improve your range of motion. They're like, can you do it in one session? Maybe, you know, let's get there. And as we're doing the session, I'm explaining how I'm doing it. And you've had my sessions before, and from muscle to muscle, I'll tell them why I'm doing it and why it's responding well and why it's causing a certain symptom or condition. And when it's over, this is what I decided to do. I went from scraping to trigger point, neuromuscular therapy, then we push lymph out. Tell me how you feel.
Or when he touches my muscles, he goes, are you okay?
Yeah. She jumps a little bit, but she always says she's okay.
I always thought you was tougher. There's been times where I've been in here and
Because he
Miguel.
was working on my feet and it was ticklish.
Oh, that's
Oh,
why. See,
yeah.
I'm the pain person.
Because I
It's
do
like
this.
I'll be sitting there and I'm like so tense everywhere, and he's like, Courtney, are you okay? He's like, I'm only putting this much pressure on you. I'm
Yeah.
like, no, you're not. It's
Yeah.
way harder than that. He's like, no, really. I'm really not pushing that hard.
I'll be
I'm like, oh my
working on
gosh.
here, and I'm like, this is all I'm doing. She goes, this can't be possible. I was like, yeah, it is.
I'm kind of a sis you all, but that's the other thing about you, Miguel. When it comes to like the torture method, one thing that really impressed me about you was like you knew exactly where those like trigger points were, and you
Mhm.
knew, okay, if she's telling me she feels pain here, or we're really sore here, or these movements are suffering, you knew exactly where to go to fix that thing. And I was like, I didn't even know that that was sore or that that hurt, or you might go somewhere else other than where I'm feeling the pain, because you
Yeah.
understand the way that the body works. And okay, she's feeling it here, but it's probably not coming from there. If it's, you know what I mean, you knew
Yeah.
where to look up or down. So I feel like you do have a really good expertise, and maybe you could tell people a little bit about your professional knowledge and experience in education. Like, who does Miguel work on, and how do you know exactly where to go when somebody's describing to you a pain point?
Oh man, so who I work on? Everybody. Everybody's welcome in the torch room. Young, old, athlete, non-athlete. If you think you have a pain symptom or condition, especially a condition that you've been living with, let me show you what massage can really do. And but I read every single day about the human body. Some people don't believe that, but I do. I spend at least 30 to 40 minutes every day reading something about the human body, whether it's about the heart, the fascia, the hand, a muscle group. But when you start to get so much information and people start telling you pain symptoms, you get a read of the body. At least that's how I see it. I start reading the body. I'm like, what's going on? And I visualize the symptoms. I visualize the mechanics of the body. Some people are very good at just reading the book and saying, body mechanics say all these muscles work when you're doing a squat, and they can just read it, they just know. I'm more of a visual person. So when you tell me, hey, I have pain in my knee, I'm like, when do you feel it? Oh, when I'm squatting. Okay, I can visualize you doing the squat, and I know so many muscles that work just to make one movement happen. And from there, that's how I start breaking down where to start and where to end. And I've done it so much that now, even before the treatment starts, I already know where I'm going to start and where I'm going to end. I already know how the treatment's going to go. So
Okay.
yeah, it's like I problem solve that quick.
Yeah.
So I'm not sitting here flustered thinking like, oh, what's going on? The quad's not responding. I'm not, and I'm getting flustered during the session. That's never going to happen. I already know what I'm going to do, how I'm going to start, with what techniques I'm going to use, and how the tissue's going to respond. So I can gauge that probably within the first 10 seconds of the treatment.
Mm.
Which is, I think, when the very first time I saw you, because the first time you ever worked on me, I don't know if you remember, I had you work on my back because my traps always bother me, and every other LMT that I've ever seen goes in with cupping first, and then scraping, and then deep tissue, and you didn't even start in my traps. I was like, what is going on? But that was the most relief I've ever had in my back. So it does it really does go to prove how much different and how much you stand out from most LMTs.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And it's always cool when you are like certified in all these special techniques like cupping,
absolutely,
and it looks cool, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna throw some cups on there, and then we're gonna do scraping, and you on the table, you're thinking, wow, they're doing a lot. This must be effective, and it's like, did they ever explain to you why they're doing cupping? You know, I think when I worked on you, we were working along the collarbone,
Yeah.
on the upper fibers of the pec,
Mhm.
and within, I think probably the first minute, I was like, I'm gonna tell you why I'm working here. So, and I started explaining why,
Yeah.
and then it's like, from here we're gonna move to this muscle, then, and I pinpointed 3 major muscle groups that attach to the shoulder blade that give it tension forward, that cause the stability muscle groups in the back, especially underneath the trap, to shorten.
Mhm.
So now we know there's an imbalance from the anterior to posterior chain of the body. So you can say the traps hurt all day, but what are the mechanics of it?
Mhm.
How does it really work? Why? And if you don't know your why, then you don't know what you're gonna do. You're just gonna say, I'm certified in all these things, so I'm just gonna throw the whole book at you.
Yeah.
And you might have some temporary relief, but we're looking for a little bit of a correction. And that's the difference between I just wanna get a massage to, I wanna get some body work done.
Right. So if I'm an athlete,
If you like.
if I'm an athlete, just
She's
hypothetically,
a really, really amazing athlete.
hypothetically,
She's a professional athlete.
if I'm an athlete and I'm like, man, I see all these other people getting this body work done. I don't really know what it's about. Like, how often do you recommend somebody do it? Like, and not a pro athlete, just on the amateur level. Maybe they've never even done a bodybuilding show. Maybe they're just getting into fitness and they're training consistently. They're putting on some new muscle tissue. What interval do you recommend that they get body work done?
Average everyday person, once a month.
Once a month, okay.
Once a month. If they're new to massage, I would recommend getting at least 3 to 4 sessions once a week. So your first month, get once a week. So that way the therapist has a good read and understanding of what you're doing outside the recovery room and how well are you guys meshing well together.
So if you're just starting, you think more often, like several times in a week for new?
Like once a week.
Once a week for new, okay.
Once a week for new. That gives the client and the therapist a good understanding of if they work together and if the treatment plan is complementing what they do. So, like, I can say, man, I work really great with bodybuilders. Everybody I see is a bodybuilder. And then you get one person that's a power lifter. And then you're like, the muscle tissue feels different. They train differently. They eat differently. They take different vitamins and supplements at different dosages. So now you're like, now you think, oh, bodybuilders, they love this kind of treatment because it gives them all this stuff. And then a powerlifter comes in and you're like, I didn't want that. That's not what I wanted. So I was just, my neck was just tight. And, you can say, well, it's because of this shoulder impingement and, you got restriction in the shoulder from benching so much. And they're like, and I've had a powerlifter tell me this one day, I love to feel tight. It makes me feel safe when I'm training. You talk to a bodybuilder, they're like, I need full range of motion. I need mobility. I don't want to feel restricted where the muscle tissue is not getting blood flow. So we need to understand each other, but we also need to graduate to once a month. If you're at a more elite level where you're like, I bodybuild, there's some bodybuilders at the amateur level that do like 5 to 6 shows a year. I would recommend definitely getting tissue work once a week.
Okay, so once a month for like or starting off weekly for somebody who's brand new, just to get a base for maybe a month, then they can work up to once a month.
Yeah.
But if you're a higher level athlete or you're competing a lot, then you should get it more frequently.
Yeah.
As much as once a week. Okay.
Yeah. Definitely at the pro level, at least 3 to 4 hours a week.
Okay. Gotcha. That's another thing too. So there's different lengths of sessions, right? There's 60 minutes, 90 minutes, and then you do as much as 2 hours, right?
Yeah. The longest session I've ever done was 6 hours.
That's a lot.
That was a lot. I was totally against it. I was like telling this guy every reason that it's not going to be good for him. I'm like, I don't want to do it. But he paid up front for 6 hours.
So who should get 60, who should get 90, and who should get 2 hours?
Time doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't
it's
matter.
just whatever the person's comfortable with financially, maybe.
Whatever. I mean, but it also depends on what they want.
Okay.
So, but then we got to look at the size of this. So, I had a pro bodybuilder come in here, open bodybuilder, and he booked a 3-hour session, and all he said is, just work on my back. And I'm like, I work very effectively and efficiently, so I can work on it doesn't take me 3 hours to work on your back. He was so big and so dense. It took me all 3 hours to work on his back, just so he can feel open again. Because sometimes you can just feel like, I feel stuck, I feel restricted, and that can also affect your workouts. But I didn't think it was going to take me 3 hours, but he was like, no, I want 3 hours. It literally took me 3 hours. So not everybody's at that level, but whether it's 60 minutes or it's 90 minutes or it's 2 hours, whatever time frame you give me and whatever goal that you're looking for, I can work within that time frame. Some people will say, I can't do it in 60 minutes. I need to have 2 hours with you. And, that's a person that right there that's not thinking about your goals, and they're not confident in their skills either. They're kind of thinking, I can only do this and I need more time. And they're probably not going to think about the next session either. So give me a time frame, give me a goal, we'll make it happen. Yeah.
good?
Yeah.
Next question.
That's what it was. I was
man.
like trying to remember what else I have here. 'Cause I think we covered almost everything that we wanted to talk about.
I have something that maybe you can answer,
Okay.
and it was a statement. I said it to you one day
Mhm.
when we were training. Brand new bikini competitor, first time prepping, deep into her prep. We'll just say she's halfway through it,
Okay.
and she books a massage with me. It's her first massage ever. Also, not really into getting massages. Didn't feel the need to. And while I'm working on her, she tells me, Miguel, if I'm eating healthy and I'm training and I'm supposed to be strong and healthy, why does my body hurt? Because I'm eating healthy and I'm taking all the vitamins and I'm training to get my muscles strong. Why does my body hurt so much? And I was like, that was one of the most basic, simple questions that I was stumped. And I was like, I think you should ask your coach. Like, I don't know.
Okay.
And she's like, well, I wasn't in this much pain before, but now we got to look at, were they healthy? And now we got to look at, now we're amplifying, training. But it was just unknown to her because all she sees, and this is just a general public, this is in generalities, just the normal person will say, if I'm eating the right foods and I'm training on regiment and I'm taking the vitamins, why does my body hurt?
I mean, hurt, like off the bat, everybody has their own definition of pain and hurt. And that's going to depend on how comfortable they've been in their life. Like, you could take somebody who's never done a contest prep before and who's never really been hungry before due to just the nature of the way that things are, and they don't understand that hunger feeling. So as a coach, it is, I feel like, our job to really, describe to people what they can expect to happen during a contest prep. If they're not used to training, if it's their first prep, if they're newer to this, pain can be very negative. You shouldn't feel pain in the gym, but you should feel sore. And you're gonna be pushing yourself through a certain level of pain in the gym, but there's what you're supposed to be feeling when you're training, and then there's what we need to avoid at all costs. So I think defining when somebody's saying their body hurts, growth is uncomfortable in any capacity. And when you're putting new tissue on your body, those changes are going to be uncomfortable, which is part of tissue therapy. Your body's tight. New muscle is tight, so you got to work it out. You got to stretch it. You need to release that lymph and, again, allow nutrients and blood flow to get there to recover. And this is an uncomfortable process. But understanding that by doing that, you're then going to be stronger and healthier and, see definition come through your physique. That's the reward. And any time that there's a reward physically, there's usually some level of discomfort to get there. How would you answer that, Sam?
That's a really good answer. I'd also say, taking into consideration, there are a lot of variables that are going to impact pain, or, I feel like what I see a lot when girls are explaining pain or discomfort, it's really just, fatigue. And so when you're deep in contest prep, your calories are low, and we already talked about how that impacts, muscle recovery and tissue work, and being in a caloric deficit is uncomfortable, and it also means that your body is not recovering adequately. And then on top of that, we need to consider, what is your sleep like? How often, or how long are you sleeping? Are you sleeping well throughout the night? Because that's going to have a big impact too. And then also, cardio activity becomes a topic on top of that, and all coaches are different in how they apply cardio, depending on if it's low intensity or intervals or HIIT training. That comes into consideration as well. So there's so many variables that can impact pain or discomfort that it is a really broad topic to talk about. There's so many things.
And this is where our information just kind of has this huge gray area, because I get the people that have coaches and guide them, and then I get those athletes that want to get into bodybuilding that say, I don't have a coach, I'm just doing everything by myself, I'm just going off of what I'm seeing on social media, what I've read in a magazine or something, or I'm just kind of getting tips and ideas, and they just don't know what it actually takes to be athletic at any level, whether you're at the bottom starting or you're at the top, just because you're at the top doesn't mean it got easier. Sometimes the ladder just gets harder to climb.
Absolutely.
But sometimes they don't realize that it's like there's always a pain process coming through. And just like you said, growth is painful sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And, when you face that challenge, and you're like, I want to do it, but you don't have guidance or you just don't know, or you were unaware that it was going to be this way.
Mm-hmm.
You thought, oh, I'm eating all the protein, I should be healthy.
Right.
My muscles should be strong and respond well. And it's all like, well, you're also training outside the norm. If you have a coach, their goal is to push you past your limits, to create, this physique for bodybuilding, and from there it's like, that's when people find out their passion for it, you went through so much that now you're passionate about it.
Yeah, and I mean, I really like what Sam said about the calorie deficit and not having adequate recovery because, especially when you're doing something like a contest prep, being shredded for stage lean, even for bikini divisions, and, if you're reaching a new level of conditioning you've never had
Bikini
before,
isn't lean anymore.
it doesn't feel good. Like,
It's not comfortable.
It's not comfortable. It doesn't feel great to
and
be
it's
that
not
conditioned.
sustainable. Like, that's not the way you look all the time.
That's why we only hold that conditioning for a day. And and you want to peak and look your best on stage that day, and then the rest of the time we're not that lean because it's not the greatest state to be in. But that doesn't mean that like it's bad or negative. It's just
I think it's just that people really underestimate what it actually takes to accomplish that.
yes, yeah, people definitely
Oh, yeah.
underestimate what it takes. So, and that's where it's like you hear the thing that's like, it doesn't get easier, you just get better. And I think it is. It's like you get more used, the more dieting and the more contest preps you do, you get a little bit more used to what that feeling is. You're a little bit more accustomed to it. The more that you train, you get used to what that lactic acid buildup feels like, even with body work. Your body actually gets used to body work. Like, so for me, it's very uncomfortable at first. And then the more sessions that I did, your body becomes more, it like receives it better.
Yeah.
Because you kind of know what to expect and you can kind of lean into that discomfort a little bit more. So, yeah, I'd say that's
Yeah.
pretty accurate.
Exactly.
Body
Yeah.
work is hard for me. I try.
Hey, training's hard for me.
Yeah.
So,
We all have our struggles.
We all have the struggles. But okay, do you guys have any like closing remarks or anything you want to leave the people with?
oh man, get your body work done. Trust me, your body will love you for it. So,
We say it all the time, and now I've heard it from a professional, arguably the best in the business. It's like well known for the work that you do with bodybuilders, but I know that's only a fraction of what you actually do.
yeah.
Yeah, and the thing with bodywork and getting it done, whether you're in contest prep or improvement season or whether you're not an athlete at all, is there's there's levels, and sometimes pushing harder and going harder and harder and harder and harder isn't always the answer, and you get to a level where prioritizing recovery is actually more important than spending hours in the gym and hours doing cardio. Like there's a catch point where recovery really is the make it or break it between are you stuck or are you making progress.
Yeah.
So
I actually was in a gym one time in Nashville, Tennessee, and I ran into a pro bodybuilder. He was a classic physique bodybuilder, big guy. A lot of kids were coming up to him and saying, hey, how did you do it? How often do you train? Like, you must train every single day, twice a day to get this big. And he said, I actually used to do that, but I got this big the minute I started implementing rest days.
Yes.
It was rest days. And these kids, there were like 4 kids around them. They were all teenage. They didn't believe him. They straight up, there's no way you take a rest day and get this big. Like, you have to keep training every day. So just to show you that some people in the general masses don't understand fully what it takes to be in the bodybuilding industry.
Yeah.
It's not always about, like you said, just let me push it more, let me push it more. Implementing a rest day is so beneficial. And what you said, sleeping, everybody grows more during their sleep and rest time. That's when muscle tissue says, oh man, I'm gonna eat up all the nutrients right now. I'm just gonna hold on to it and grow. And then you actually feel better. You wake up feeling better. You don't feel like, oh, everything just sucks today, and everything's sore. No, you fed it and replenished it with the right things you need,
Mm-hmm.
and more so on a rest day. But even some people don't believe it when it comes straight from a pro.
Yeah.
When a pro says, I saw more improvements when I said no more 7 days a week. I'm implementing 2 rest days a week, and
I know some people that really need to hear that, and that's like my favorite thing to tell people is that I don't believe in overtraining. I believe in under recovering, because you can only build as well as your ability to recover.
Yes. So get your body work done. Don't sleep on it. Get some good. Don't sleep on body work, but get your sleep otherwise. And prioritize recovery. Thank you for talking with us about this, Miguel. I think it's going to benefit a lot of people.
yeah, absolutely. And anybody can reach out to me. I'm sure you can put the hashtags.
Yeah,
in there.
yeah. You can follow Miguel at Torture Room on Instagram.
Yeah, shoot me a DM if anybody has any questions. Trust me, I've seen just about every condition. I've over 10 years experience working with people from pretty much all over the world.
Yeah.
So you name a condition, I probably worked with it. So, and or athlete.
Yes. Make sure you like, subscribe, click the bell button. We'll put a link to Miguel's Torture Room in the description. And of course, make sure you comment any questions you have. You can reach out to me, Sam, or Miguel. And we'll see you guys next time. Oh shit. Look who's open bodybuilding. Wow. Look at those legs. How'd you do that?
Torture room therapy.
The torture room. That's how she got those legs.